Okay, we're on chapter 18, Nomadic Empires and Eurasian Integration. We're on the first heading, Turkish migrations and imperial expansion. And this is the second part, so we're talking about imperial expansion, which is the Turkish empires in Persia, Anatolia, and India. And we're just going to go ahead and take it in that order. So what's going to happen is this, the Saljuq Turks are going to be to the Abbasids what the Germanic people will be to the Romans. And so, or at least that's the analogy your book gives. What happens is that the Turkish people at first start trading with the Abbasids, and then they start joining the armies. And as they start dominating the armies, they come to dominate the actual Abbasid Empire. So for the last couple centuries of the Abbasid Empire, there are still going to be Abbasid caliphs, but they're basically going to be figureheads. And the Saljuks are going to be the actual leaders of the actual sultans. One of their focuses is going to be to the west. And so what's going to happen is that in 1071, the Saljuks are going to defeat the Byzantine army in the Battle of Manzikert, and the Byzantine Empire will never be the same after that. They're going to take the emperor captive, and essentially what's going to happen is that's going to allow a large-scale invasion of Anatolia by the Saljuq Turks. At this time, a lot of people are going to convert to Islam at that point. Your book makes the point to mention that a lot of the people who were living in Anatolia resented the Byzantines, so they saw the Saljuq Turks as actually kind of liberators. And eventually, the Ottoman Turks are going to conquer Constantinople in 1453. Much more on that later. The last area we need to talk about is in India. So we learned when we were learning about India about Mahmud of Ghazni, who from Afghanistan, he's going to invade northern India over and over and over again. At first, they're just going to use it as a place to plunder, get goods, and leave. But their continued dominance is going to cause a yearning to actually rule the land. That's going to be very difficult to do. But they are going to be able to dominate by the 1200s, and in time, what they're going to do is going to persecute Buddhists and Hindus, and that's one of the reasons why India still has a significant Muslim presence today. Ruling that area is notoriously difficult, which I'll talk about in just a second. But just so you know, so the Saljuq Turks, as far as we can tell, kind of start over here in the Aral Sea, are going to come down and go through, and we're going to have the Sultanate of Rum. Rum actually is meaning Rome. So they're going to take over those areas over there. And then you can see the Sultanate of Delhi here is going to be created from Afghanistan, Mahmud of Ghazni. And again, this is going to be very difficult land to hold in reality. In name, sure, they're dominating, but we're going to have a lot of Hindu princes here in these areas. And so it's going to be Muslim, but in some ways that's why Hinduism is able to maintain itself, even though there is some persecution. And with that, that is heading number 2.